All right, all right. Welcome back to another episode of the Masterful Conversations podcast, where we talk about leadership from the men who have served or are currently serving in a regular lodge of free and accepted Masons. I am Brother Matthew Wagstaff, a proud past master of Eureka Lodge number 36. We're currently serving as my worshipful master is Brother Jermaine Myers, and I am with
Past Master Mark Alexander of Sons of Kings Lodge number 123 out of Brooklyn, New York, where Brother Fitzgerald Boyce II serves as our worshipful master.
Yes, we both hail from the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the state of New York. We're currently serving as our Grand Master is most worshipful Reverend Dr. Darren M. Morton. It's our Grand Master. Before we introduce our esteemed guest today, just a quick announcement, a quick shout out. Just want to make sure I give a shout out to my baby girl, Madison, turned 22 years old today. Happy birthday, baby girl. Love you. Wish you well. Any other announcements?
Well, I'll say, I guess I want to say best wishes or something to my son who's having a show out there in really Connecticut tonight. That's where he's at
All right.
doing his rap thing. Wow.
Okay. All right. All right. Hip hop. Let's go. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So with that, before we do our introduction of our guest, we have a quick disclaimer.
The views and opinions of this show are our own. The show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please consult the proper office in your prospective jurisdictions if you have any particular questions.
Definitely. So today we have the privilege of having a masterful conversation with past master Gary Davis. If you are in the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of New York, you know this man very well. If you are a worshipful master, you probably have had the pleasure of joining one of his classes on the worshipful master station and place. So we appreciate you being here. Just give a quick bio on past master Gary Davis. He comes from Joppa Lodge number 55 out of Harlem, New York. He served as Worshipful Master in the year 2009 and then decided to go back in the chair in 2016. We can talk about that decision. I'm going to call it a decision. In 2016, he is also the past president for the first Masonic district of the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the state of New York. He is a past worthy patron of Gardenia chapter number 41, Order Eastern Star, Prince Hall affiliated. Also, the District Deputy Grand Master Emeritus in the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the state of New York, and has been honored and elevated to the last and final degree, the Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite, 33rd degree. Welcome, 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 Past Master Gary Davis to the Masterful Conversation Podcast.
Pleasure to be here. I'm happy to be on board, guys. I'm excited about this, and thank you for the invite.
We appreciate you being here, definitely. So, this show is all about leadership. Would love to hear your story. So let's just start from the beginning. So if you could tell us about the time when you were raised to be a Master Mason, and then up into to talk about your journey to the East, and what was that experience like? And then when you got to the East, we could talk a little bit about like how many brothers were in the lodge and that experience as well.
All right, thank you. My journey started with Brother Prescott Harris, who's my sponsor. So it doesn't start, the story doesn't start without him. We both grew up in Harlem, New York, out of Manhattanville projects. We lived in the same building, him on the 6th floor, I'm on the 10th floor. I was the dude that, played football. And as I got older, I did charity leagues and so on and so forth. Prescott was the guy that did flips and drank his 40 press. We used to call him 40 press and whatever. And then one day, I saw him, he was just different. His walk was different. His talk was different. I'm watching him walk through the projects and he got his black suit on. And I'm like, hey, talking to other brothers, I'm like, what's up with Press? It was like, oh, you in here? He a Mason. What? Oh my God. I've been wanting to be a Mason for such a long time. My grandfather was a Mason down in Charlotte, North Carolina. My grandmother was an Eastern Star down there, but just never knew anyone that was a Mason, and I remember running up on him like, hey, Press, so listen, man, I see what you're doing, bro. I see the change and whatever. I want to be down, man. And he was like, take it easy, you ain't ready for this yet, And I want to be honest with you. I've known Prescott since 1979, and he made me wait 2 years before he would petition me. And when I tell you, I was consistently chasing him down. Every time I saw him in those 2 years, hey, bro, like, can I get that petition? Or can I join? Can I join? And rightfully so, he made me wait. I joined Joppa 55 in the year 2000. It was mind-blowing for me because I came in April of 2000. It was supposed to be my initiatory degree. Wasn't prepared because at that time I lived in the projects when I first got petitioned, but I bought my first house in 2000. So they sent all the mail to my old apartment and not to my house. So Prescott called me like, yo, man, where you at? The initiatory. I'm like, what? I never got no notification. And I ended up coming. I had on jeans. I ain't had no pajamas. I ain't have anything to wear, no whatever. And now, so you know what I look like when they dress. I just in my regular clothes. And I just remember Prescott telling me, hey, man, listen, just listen. And he was telling me all these things to listen out for and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to build you from the inside out. And I'm looking at this guy like, what is he talking about? Like, what am I getting ready to go through? And a lot of those bells and whistles really didn't turn on for me until later on in my Masonic career. I never wanted to be a worship master. Never. I just wanted to be a brother. I just wanted to learn the lectures. I wanted to do the degree work. I love the work, and I'll never forget. They asked me to get on the line in 2001. I said no. They asked me in 2002. No. 2003. I said no, but I participated in every degree after I got raised. Every single degree, whether it be a lecture, whether it be at the junior ward station, senior ward station, you name it. And then finally in 2004, at the behest of one of my closest friends, James E. Smith Jr., say, yo, man, it's time, get online. And I got online. I served as Senior Master of Ceremony and went all the way up to Worship Master in 2009. And it was hard. It was tough.
I bet. Talk about that preparation though, like when you were a warden, or even like when you started as Senior Master of Ceremonies and got online. So talk about like what was going through your mind there. I know for me, it was nothing intentional about what I was doing. I basically kind of went through the chairs without a plan. And so I'm curious about like, did you have a plan when you were in that seat in terms of like where you would progress and like how did you prepare yourself for like the next seat?
I just honestly, because I watched and observed the first 3 years, which I always tell new brothers, don't get online right away, watch and observe. I kind of prepared myself to I knew how to open and close the lodge before I even got online because I was always in my ritual, I have 4 guys that rock with me. Currently, Right Worship Muji MC Bay, Brother Prescott Harris, Past Master Emil Bouye, and myself. We used to have our little study crew. All those brothers were online. I wasn't, but I studied with them. So I knew my work getting on. And we used to have a past master named Past Master Albert Gatton. May he rest in peace. He used to always say, if you get online, no 2 seats ahead. So I always knew seats ahead. And I got on his line in 2004. So that's how I kind of prepared. I was already sitting online covering brothers from 2001 up until 2004 when I actually got on the line. And it was tough, because Joppa 55 had a reputation of degree work. Those past masters in there were the mafia, as we called them. And I'm being honest with you, they didn't approve of you. You didn't move up that line. You didn't, you didn't advance. There's no way they're gonna see you move that way. You had to show and prove. It's a past master, and I love him now. His name is George W. Pierce. He's my Masonic father, but he was the meanest old man in the world to me. He was mean to me. I mean, if you missed a word or you mispronounced a word in a lecture, they would make you do the whole thing over, not just correct that word. They corrected you and then go, all right, start from the beginning and work your way back. I hated George W. Pierce. Can I say that on this?
Now you love him. Now you love him.
Exactly.
But now I love him. But just to talk about that part, it was one day we were having collation. And, when you're on the line, you're an officer, you're a young brother, you working. You ain't no sitting down. You moving your feet, you getting food, you're serving the brothers, the older brothers, a beer or drinks or whatever, doing collation. And one time, man, he was doing his bad thing, and we was at refreshment, and he called me over, and he was feeling good, the vibes.
Mhm.
I mean, and said, "Come in, brother Davis, come in." And I remember saying to myself, like, "What does this old man want from me now? We're not in study class. Like, why is he like on me?" And so I walk over to him and, "Hey, Pastor Master Pierce," because I was raised, you always respect your elders no matter what. I've
Mhm.
never called him George. I've never say Pierce. Is always Past Master George Pierce or Past Master Pierce. All my elders are always Past Master or Right Worship or whatever. That's just how I was raised. And I came over to him and was like, "Yes, Past Master Pierce." And he was like, "Yeah, I know you think I don't like you, but I'm hard on you because I want you to get it right. Because some of these guys don't take it serious. I see it in you. I see something that you don't see in yourself yet. So just stop taking everything so sensitive. Toughen your skin up." And he said, "You see that young lady right there?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "That's my daughter, Rosie." He said, "That's your sister. Go say hi." And I walked over. I was like, "Hi, Rosie. My name is Brother Gary Davis. I guess I'm your brother." She was like, "Oh, hi. I heard a lot about you." She gave me a hug. And to this day, we still call each other brother and sister. And in the next study class, George Pierce, he ain't got the vibe, got that nice vibe no more. Now he's back to being that mean, tough dean. Ha! And I remember going, "Yes, Pastor Master Pierce. Yes." Anything he said, "Yes, Pastor Master Pierce." And I was smiling. I'm like, "Yes, Pastor Master Pierce." And he go, "What you smiling about?" Because he always used to get me in my feelings.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was like, "Well, you told me, it's not personal. You just wanted me to get better." But once I said that, and he realized, I wasn't taking it serious no more, my journey got better.
That's excellent. Excellent.
Nice
So when
words.
you moved to the East, um, talk a little bit about the makeup of the lodge, like how many brothers were in the lodge at that time. Do you remember who the Grand Master was in 2009? And then some of the key things you focused on that first time you were in the East.
Yeah, in 2009, I had a rough time going into the East. Um, a meeting was called by the past masters. I wanted to nominate some other brothers for the office of warden based on what I thought was their body of work. But Joppa had a thing of, at that time, if you were in the seat, you socially promote to that next seat no matter what. And I just felt that I'm going to stir the pot. And so they had a meeting in December before my elections. And they were telling me, "No, we're not having that, and you shouldn't do that." And I'm like, as a brother of this lodge, I have the right. And I called out some of the past masters who did the same exact thing that I did some years before. So I asked them, "Is it okay for you to do it and I can't do it?" That don't make sense. So they said to me, "Well, you might jeopardize your seat as Worshipful Master." So I stood on my 10 toes down. I said, "Listen, you brothers do what y'all think you need to do. Come December election of Joppa 55, I will show up. If nominated, I will accept the nomination. And if voted in, I will accept the office of Worship Master. If not, I will be okay with that as well." And I excused myself respectfully and I left. The night of my elections, the outgoing Worship Master walked. They had another meeting just before that. I'm sitting in the lodge room, most of the brothers sitting around, and all the past masters. And at this time, mind you, we may got about 180 brothers. Joppa 55 is, constantly been the largest
Yeah,
lodge in the
definitely one of
jurisdiction
them.
of New
Yeah,
York.
definitely. Mhm.
We have some powerhouses in there. We got a lot of past Grand Masters and honorary past Grand Masters. And at that time, the makeup of the lodge, maybe 35 or 40 of those were past masters. And, and so they had their meeting. Usually they have the voting power to
Yeah.
move how they want
Yeah.
to move. But this night ended up being a special night. I think it maybe at this night, maybe 80 Joppa brothers showed up. It was unbelievable. It was brothers. If you know the blue room in the Grand East, there were brothers downstairs and upstairs. It was
Mhm.
like a show. And I'll never forget past Master Basil H. Michael, who was the outgoing worship master, came to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Listen, I'm going to nominate you for the office of Worshipful Master." And he said, "But you probably won't see me for a while." And I walked away. So I didn't know
Yeah.
what that meant. And I saw the brothers come in. I saw all the past masters come in. Election started. And at that time, it was Most Worshipful Gregory Robertson Smith Senior was the Grand Master at that time, which was, I think he was the 55th Grand Master at that time when I was Worshipful Master. And then the District Deputy Grand Master was a brother named Charles Johnson of the Boy One. And Pastor Basil just did exactly what he said. He nominated me, and I just waited for another nomination. I looked around and never came. And I got installed as Worshipful Master of Joppa 55 in December 2008. And I remember my first order was, we're gonna all get up, and we're gonna hug each other. We're gonna love each other. We're gonna love on each other, you know, and all that's gonna stop. I remember after Grand Lodge leaving, I must have banged my gavel so hard. I thought I was gonna break the podium, you know, because I wanted them to know that, you know what, all these private animosities, if any happen to exist, are gonna give place to affection and brotherly love going forward. And that was my mantra for the year. That's what we're gonna do. And I had my past masters work for me. I worked the hell out of my past masters. They'll tell you, you know, I had them do all types of stuff for me because I was told by past Grand Master Dwayne Walker, if you don't put your past masters to work, they will work you. So that's what I did. And I had a great year. I traveled. When I traveled, we always traveled to Philadelphia in the March. We traveled to Baltimore in April. We went to Boston in May. We went to DC in June. And when I tell you, I had no less than 56 brothers travel with me at every single location where I went to. I was like almost an army every time I went somewhere. I would walk in and there would be a bunch of brothers standing behind me, you know? And I think a lot of it was because they were just tired of the, you know, I kept reminding them of, hey man, private animosities. There shouldn't be no private animosities here. I know my work, and they were, and the older past masters respected me because I came in understanding knowing my work. I knew my constitution and statutes and whatever, and I understood my bylaws. So no messing around with me. So they were good, and they supported it. So we had a good year. And I did Masonic trivia on the bus, and the brothers got it right. I had belt buckles and all types of stuff that I would give away as trinkets on the bus and whatever. I had Joppa trivia. How many brothers did we have this year? Who was past master this year? Who did this and who did that? And how many brother-son worshipful masters we have in Joppa 55? I made it fun, and brothers bought in, you know. I mean, it was a good time.
So then that leads me to I want to understand, like, we talk about leadership and leadership being about influence. Like, how are you able to, it sounds like you were able to, you shifted the culture, and like shifting the culture of a lodge with that many brothers. I mean, that's a big ship to move, it seems like. So I'm just curious now about when you were warden, even before that, like how you create those relationships so that when you got in the East, you was able to influence them. I know you talked about the work and you were able to show yourself to be knowledgeable. But was there anything else that you did that other brothers that are listening right now will say these things helped you to add influence?
Being a good brother, you know, I took being a officer of Joppa 55 serious. When I was senior deacon, what I noticed is that we never brought the brothers in for proficiency just before they got their degree. The proficiency always happened in the study class prior to that. But according to our ritual, we should be doing that proficiency just before they get in. And I worked, even though they had their own dean, those 10 or 12 brothers in 2006, and one of them was Right Worshipful Larry Ford, who's a District Deputy Grand Master Emeritus now. One of those brothers was Right Worshipful Andre Spears, who's a District Deputy Grand Lecturer Emeritus right now. And in that class, man, we really bonded, and then we showed improved by showing how, you know, we don't have to always have that separate between, oh, you a Mason now and you guys are just into the printers, you guys are just fellow class. We bonded. I started that bonding process early and soon. These guys, I got baptized in 2006. Those guys came to my baptism. When I went to church, they went to church, you know, so that bond started there. And also started with Brother Prescott Harris and Mujahid Bey. We went everywhere together, and we wanted to, you know, we were going to be the new Jack City brothers coming in. And what the older past masters respected is that I'm not a young dude, you know, like I'm 58 years old. I just turned 58 on August 20th. You know, I wasn't a dude.
Happy belated birthday too, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I was able to connect with the senior brothers because all they really want me to do is make sure The ritualistic work is done. The Constitution stuff was done. The culture was adhered to. And the young brothers just wanted to be loved on. You know, they just wanted a brother, you know, be real brother. So when you're in the hospital or whatever, come see you, be out there. I had a brother, DeJuan Walker, who's a police officer in Atlanta now. He had just got in. I remember his mother got into some kind of accident and she was at the hospital, but he couldn't get there to her. Man, I was a junior warden of the lodge. I took that as I'm in charge of the lodge right now called the Worshipful Master. Brothers, we're going to the hospital. And we went all, I mean, it was like 15, 20 of us deep in the hospital. And I went in the back. I was like, hey, Miss Walker, my name is Brother Gary Davis. I know you don't know me, but your son is a brother of my lodge. And I'm going to be here to take care of you until he gets here. She looked at me like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, I know you don't understand, but it's okay. Is there anything you need? Can I get you a sandwich? Can I get you something to drink? And da-da-da. And so that was to show myself, that actually should not talk about being a brother, but actually being a brother. I think that's what helped change and mold the culture of the lodge, you know, especially when they were so used to doing things a certain way. Past masters, again, were the godfathers. Whatever they said, they did. But I showed the brothers, you read the same ritual they read. You read the same Constitution statutes they read. They got the same bylaws that you got. All we need to do is read it, respect it, and they'll embrace us. And that's what they did.
And so how did you talk about like so everything you said right now resonates with me. I respect it and I appreciate it. And what I always ask brothers on this show is, how in the world do you use your 24-inch gauge to manage your time between the craft and life outside of the craft? And so, you know, I don't know if you were married, if you had kids, if you had a profession, like to be at the hospital at that moment for that amount of time that you were there, to drive there, you know, just talk to me a little bit about like how you use your time. Because again, brothers that want to be leaders, or at least have the title of leadership in this craft, need to continually understand like it's a time commitment. And so I'm just very curious about the tools you use and how you use your time.
Thing was to have a sit with my family. At that time, I was married and I had two kids, and I had a conversation. Started with them. So my mom, with my daughter, and at that time when I was married with my wife, and they understood what I was doing. The next thing I realized that the 24-inch gauge was the most important tool that we can ever get as a Master Mason, because if you don't project manage your time and whatever, and you can't do family, you can't do your job, you can't do God and your brothers if you don't manage your time properly. So I really took that 24-inch gauge to heart. So I was able to do that. I spent a lot of time with the bros. I spent a lot of time with my family. And when it was time to be with family, you with your family. When it was time to be with the bros, you with the bros. And a lot of other things that we did together. We went to church together. We broke bread together, you know. So that 24-inch gauge was just such an important thing. Because I'm my career, I'm a project manager. Timelines, I live for a timeline.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I live for it. That's how I manage my work, and that's how I manage my time in the lodge. I took that 24-inch gauge to heart.
It's also a big help when you get a chance to mix your family with the fraternity. It teaches the importance. It shows actually to them the importance you have to it, and they can see it, and it makes it easier for you to spend the time here, because they're like, all right, yeah, we know you with them, and you know you're getting better and everything like that, and they cool too, you know. So,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. So
exactly. My daughters called a lot of their brothers Uncle Moo, Uncle Larry. You know, they became their uncles. You know, this year I received a Dad Appreciation Award from Elected Chapter number 14. Big ups to Elected Chapter. Thank you for recognizing me as a dad. And out of all the awards I received this year, and I received a few awards this year, that was probably the most special one, because they recognized me not because I was a Mason and not because I was a third, but because I was a dad. And that was important to me. I made one mistake that I regret when it came down to my family in this lodge. My oldest daughter, who's now 34 years old and a teacher, sixth grade teacher now, when she was turning 18, Bernard L. Holly, this is 2007. Bernard L. Holly was the Grand Master. and he had his testimonial dinner the same day as our first degree. And I'm the junior warden at Joppa 55, and I was supposed to confer the degree. So I left the house early in the morning to get down to the city, because I lived in Rockland County at the time, to go all the way to Queens or Brooklyn for his testimonial, and then leave the testimonial, come back to the lodge, and be there by 7 o'clock to confer the first degree. So, and by the time we finished the first degree, and I'm still a junior warden, I'm responsible for the collation. By the time I got back home, it was after midnight.
Oh, so you missed
It's
the
my
day.
daughter's birthday.
Mm.
That was the worst experience of my life as a Mason, because at that time I did not work my 24-inch gauge properly. I should have said, no, I'm gonna leave and go be with my daughter. Or what I should have did was, in the morning or afternoon, maybe I should have forego the testimonial for my daughter, do the degree, then come home. I was young. I joined the lodge at, a lot of people don't think that's young, but I was 33, 34 years old when I first joined, the lodge, 34 years old when I first joined the lodge. But that's one era that I missed. I missed that.
I mean, it's dope that you even recognize that.
Yeah.
I don't think I heard too many stories like that in general.
Never forget,
when it comes to the family. Yeah.
It's real, like those trade-offs, like those family trade-offs. Like,
yeah,
you can't be in 3 places at one time, not, at least not now. It might be coming in a couple of years with all the technology we got, but right now you can only be in one place. So appreciate you for sharing that, for sure, Past Master Davis. Definitely.
When you say yes to one thing, you say no to something else. That's how that goes.
And that's why I also tell like these young brothers that join the lodge now, I'm honest with them and free with them. Do not become a line officer and commit to being an officer and you have a new family. Like, don't wait. Like, take your time. This masonry of ours is not going to go anywhere. Take your time, season your family. Especially we got a new brother in our lodge, man. His brother named Christian Irish. Good brother, smart, intelligent.
Yeah.
He just got married, right? I'm like, bro, season your marriage. Because at the end of the day, as much as I love the bros, when you old and gray and so on and so forth and whatever, I mean, some brothers will be there for you and whatever, but it's going to be, at the end of the day, it's going to be your family.
Definitely.
And we're not supposed to sacrifice our family and our vocation, this thing we call masonry. So I keep it real with the bros, stay with your family. We'll be here when you're ready. It'll be here when you get back.
Definitely. With all the different leadership positions you have held within your Masonic career and at work and other places, I know that you should be able to answer this question in some sort of form. But what do you see as effective leadership?
Leading by example, having a plan, strategic planning, being a problem solver. I see team building. Like, I'm a big team guy. I'm a big team process guy. Like, if there's a problem or issue, I'm a guy that say, let's get the smartest guys we have in the room and let's whiteboard it. Let's walk through it and let's put a process together. Let's talk about how we can make this thing more efficient and get rid of these bottlenecks. And that is the same way I live my life too, and my family as well, and on the job and Masonically as well. To me, you have to sit down. It just can't be one. If you're in the room and you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. You're in the absolute wrong room if you're the smartest guy in the room. You got to surround yourself around other smart guys who know some stuff. And it doesn't matter what title they hold. They hold the title brother, then you're all right. You're good. I don't care how many past grandmasters and right worship and 33rd and all that stuff and whatever. Means nothing. I want to get the smartest guy at the table that's going to help us get a problem solved. To me, that's effective leadership. Knowing that you don't know it all. Knowing that you're not the smartest guy in the room. Knowing that, there may be somebody else who have fresh eyes, who have not been here, especially those new dudes, new brothers that come in. They have fresh eyes. I've been here for 24, going on 25 years now. And sometimes when you're here for such a long time, you see what you want to see. But when you got fresh eyes coming in, they go, wait a minute. It's not a number 8. That's a 6. Where you guys been looking at all this time? That's not that. It's this. You got to bring some fresh eyes, which brings what? Fresh perspective. And that's how you continue. I believe I was going to say the word lapse. Leadership, attitude, performance, and service. Laps. We got to keep running them laps. Leadership, attitude, performance, and service. If we do that, we're gonna be fine.
No, I like that. I like the laps. Make mental note, laps. Add that to your mental Rolodex for sure. Laps. Leadership, attitude, performance, and service.
Yes.
Leadership, attitude, performance, and service. So definitely add that to the Masterful Conversations Rolodex. We got a couple of those already. So thank you for adding to the lexicon for sure.
Yes, sir.
I'm curious now about, you said you put the past masters to work, and then you talked about tapping into the newer brothers' perspectives as well. So either as Worshipful Master in 2009 or in 2016. Actually, we'll hold on 2016 for a second. How did you, or how do you go about tapping into those brothers, those seasoned brothers as well as the new brothers, to get them engaged? So, again, another brother that may be listening right now that wants to do that, and is there anything practical that you can share with them about how you got them engaged and gave them work?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a great example. We have a financial club. We call it Rough Fashion Club number 2. Rough Fashion Club number 2 is the financial arm of Joppa Lodge No. 55. That's where we do all our fundraising activities at, right? So every time we do a fundraiser, somebody has to come back with a report. And I remember, man, certain past masters would get up and they would rip them. They would rip these people. Oh, you ain't got this on your report. You ain't got that. You ain't got this. You ain't got that. You ain't got this. You ain't got that. Sitting there and observing that, watching that, I began to now go to each one of those past masters or brothers who had an issue with the final report and ask them, hey, so what do you think a final report should have? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Until I came up with a boilerplate, and I look at that as an example of, see what's going on in the lives. You have to now approach these brothers and have a conversation. Like I would say, especially as a new brother, I would say, hey, I see y'all doing this. And even though I may know the answer to it, I see y'all doing this. Can I ask why we do it like this when the Constitution of Ritual says we should be doing it this way? And have a conversation with them. And people say, hey, you know what? He's right. According to the ritual, he said, this is how we should be doing it. No, we should. And then I start tapping and ask those questions, because sometimes people just want to, they just looking for a reason to change. And so you got to have a conversation. You can't be afraid to talk. The other thing is too, when I first came into the lodge, I got a hold of our trestle board. Joppa 55 is known for their trestle board. In our trestle board, you have all the Grand Lodge dates, all the Eureka Grand Chapter dates, all our Masonic Joppa Lodge number dates, when our communications fundraisers. But the most important part is our roster is there. So you have every single brother in your lodge, name, telephone number, address, email address. So what I would do is start at the top, and especially if I didn't know that brother, I pick up the phone and call him. Hey, my name is Brother Gary Davis. I just got raised in 2000, so on and so forth. Just calling to introduce myself, just to talk to you a little bit about the lodge and whatever, and, find out what your experiences are and what are some of the expectations I should have for myself. Oh, really? Okay, good. And have those conversations and start talking to brothers. So as I started calling brothers who normally don't come out, all of a sudden, as I started getting on the line and going up the line, those same brothers I used to call when I first came in, that I still continuously call, started to come back out.
Yeah. So sometimes you had that in you. So it's like you actually, it feels like you had that fire in you, where sometimes a brother will come into the craft and you kind of have to pull it out of them. Like they had a kind of a surface level reason to get in. They got in just because of, they're married or whatever the case may be.
Or they brother, or somebody, or a great friend.
Yeah, a friend, things like that. But once they get in, it's kind of like you gotta have to pull that extra out of them, because life will start lifing, and then you got other things that kind of distract you. But it seemed like you had that fire in you. Like where did that come from? So that another brother that's listening right now that may not be as motivated, like, did you get it from we have a question about mentorship that we'll get to soon. But like, where did that fire come from? That self-motivation to actually do all that extra, what I'm calling extra work.
I'm gonna tell you, man, my mother instilled that in me. My mother said, anything you're gonna do, you go 100. She started as a kid, man. She used to tell us, like I'm like 5 or 6, 7 years old. She would make me read a book and project your voice, say it with pride. Remember who you are. Stand up, tall. Articulate your words. Be a friend. Be a friend. Never betray a friend. Always, be a brother. Family first. She always drilled that, always constantly in my head, and it stuck. It absolutely stuck. And then once I got in and I started reading some of these charges in this book, and it's that we call a ritual. How could you be not a good brother and you read these charges? How could you treat another brother that way after hearing these words? As it's, man, I remember reading symbolism for the first time, and the first symbolism in the first grade.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got it, I cried like a baby. When I understood that the opening charge tells us how to act while we're in the lodge, and the closing charge of the master tells us how we act outside the lodge, how can I treat my brother differently? All private animosity, they say some, that all private animosities, if unhappy exists, give place to affection and brotherly love. How do you not hear that? How do you not let that resonate in you? So my mom started the fire, and the ritual stirred it up, and it burned. And then actually watching brothers like Brother Prescott Harris, who's never served as master, who's never gotten his 33rd, never, any of those things, but just a good all-around brother.
He went on junior warden a few years back.
He was my junior warden in 2016. And then, that was it.
He was like, I ain't doing nothing. I'm here for gas.
He just, it just wasn't him. He was one of those brothers that give you the spiritual side of masonry.
Definitely.
Talk to them about the speculative side. He would, and even though he never advanced, like, they would say, oh yeah, Gary served as master, or he was DDGM and he got his 33rd. Every step of the way,
listen,
he was just there mentoring me.
He ain't officially right worshipful, but he's right worshipful if anybody's right worshipful.
Exactly. If anybody's right worshipful, he's right worshipful. You know what I'm saying? If anybody. And from day one, from the door, when I was getting my Ancient Accepted degree till when I was master, he gave me books on Masonic short talks. When he was on the appointment as District Deputy Grand Master, he had me go back and read the last 10 years of the proceedings so that I'm familiar with the Grand Lodge proceedings and what changes. He made, before I was master, make sure you understood those bylaws. He used to make sure I read my bylaws. And so he said, so they cannot attack you. They can't come at you, because you're going to know your stuff. And that was that guy, he was like that with me. So, and he's another one that sparked it in me. He made me. And Mujahid Bey was another one. Mujahid, man, he's a real quiet dude at times and what have you. But when I tell you he loved the brotherhood, he loved it, man. And so I was lucky to be around brothers like Prescott Harris, James E. Smith Jr., Mujahid MC Bey, man, that just love being brothers, and that helped me because I don't have the best relationship with my biological brothers. I wish I did. I work on it. We work on it, but we're not as close. But the brothers in this organization have embraced me. So, and I've embraced this. So I hope that answers the question. I kind of was
no, that's great. I love it. I love it. I want to transition now to 2016. And so the decision that you made. And so what did that look like? The situation of the lodge, you share however much you want to share.
And I think if I remember, that was the year that y'all didn't admit nobody, and then y'all focused internally, right?
Yeah, that was the year before.
Oh, the year before.
James Smith Jr. was the master.
Oh, that's that.
And we wasn't not taking any, because we needed to fix the lodge. We had a lot of, a lot of things going on. And the brother that was supposed to go in, that was a senior warden at the time, brothers to say, a lot of brothers came to me and say, hey, listen, if you don't go back, I won't come back. We need to, get some stuff going, and they trusted me. So I gave them a plan, and now my second time around is better than my first because I know more. I was a district deputy grand master now. So I'm, seeing how other lodges work and so on, and instilling little bits from different lodges. I was president of the district, working with other, all the lodges and chapters in the district. So now it's a difference between Worshipful Master Gary Davis 2009 and Worshipful Master Gary Davis 2016.
Yeah, definitely.
Huge difference now.
Yeah.
Know a lot more. I'm not nervous. Like, it ain't like I'm not like a deer in headlights, because I've been there and I've done that. And now I went back honestly for my lodge. It wasn't for titles. I didn't want to go back. My lodge asked me to go back. And the proof was in the pudding that when I was nominated, I was the only one nominated. It wasn't even a runoff. Because if it was a runoff, it wouldn't even need us to do it. The lodge wanted me to go back. And I went back. And I served, they thought that, because it's my second year, I wouldn't go as hard. I went just as hard in 2016. I went just as hard because I knew more. And so more was expected of me the second time around. You're supposed to do better the second
in your own heart, though, more respected of you, you expected more of yourself.
Absolutely. I'm a former president of the first Masonic district, the biggest district in the jurisdiction, dealing with 23 lodges and 15 chapters and all those different personalities. I remember when I was president, they didn't want to include the sisters, right? They didn't want to include the sisters in the district, but the sisters was part of the district, Now, when we start doing our Masonic stuff and, we won't vote for and whatever, they don't need to be in there. But as far as our fundraisers and our charities and so on and so forth, and I wanted our district to be about charity and community service. Because I didn't want to be president either. I wanted to say that. I was looking for somebody to be president. I was a district deputy grand master. I was the lead district deputy grand master in the first district. And I was trying to find somebody to be president. But nobody wanted the job because nobody was coming out. They had 10, 15 people coming out, man. We was having terrible district meetings and whatever, man. And finally, I was just like, I went to Dorian Glover, who was the grandmaster at the time. And I said, hey, listen, I'm going to go serve as president of the district. I need to get my district together. He was upset with me. He didn't want me to leave the seat as PGM, but it wasn't about me. It wasn't about the title of district deputy grand master. It was about going where I was needed. And I felt like I was needed in the district. So guess what? I went in and served as president of the First Masonic District. When I took over, we had 10 different bank accounts that said First Masonic District all over the place. We had a negative $34 in the bank account. So the first thing I wanted to do was get a good team.
Did you put $35 in there just to make sure you had a positive? Just put 35.
Let me fix that.
No, I wanted this district to see where we were at. We had a negative, add all those bank accounts together, we had a negative $34.
With 23 lodges and 15 chapters, all y'all could have gave $1.
A negative 34. That's where we was at. But I went, and I think I got one of the best first district boards I could find. I went and got past Master Randall Birch. I went and got Rodney Chadwick. I went and got Jamal Martin. I went and got Patrick E. Reiner. I went and got a team of folks that was about that change. And I went out to the lodges and I told them, listen, I'm the new president. I need you to come out. I need you to hear what I have to say and what we're going to do to change this district around. And what I did, when they came, I made all the worship masters sit up front. I made them all sit in the front row, and I did roll call. I called all their lodges out. I called all the chapters out. And so they didn't want to be absent from my roll call, And when I wanted to do community service, I wanted to feed the senior citizens. We did the book drive for community service kids, and we had this program where they came and get child ID. So they had their mouth print, they had their DNA, and they got book bag and supplies. And the district raised that money. We gave over 250 bags away with supplies, and we fed the senior citizens. And for the first time in a long time, and we chartered a bus and went up to FDR Park and had our family day first district barbecue back on again, and so on and so forth. And I remember, man, they wanted to change that. I know a couple of brothers came in and they didn't want, us to do no more. I remember in my district, man, they held me down. I did a rent party because a lot of lodges and chapters couldn't pay their rent. So what I said was, listen, we're going to do. The first district, we're going to sponsor a rent party. So we got the grannies. I got my guy, Larry Scott Blackman, to do the DJing. I created tickets. I told every lodge and every chapter, tickets are free. The first 7 tickets you sell, come back to the district. Any ticket after the 7 ticket all goes to you. So you can sell 100 tickets. All I want is the money for the first 7. And that's what they did. And that money goes to your lodge. That money goes to your chapter. I created the golden ticket where we created only 150 golden tickets. Every lodge and chapter, buy a ticket for $100. If you bought the ticket for $100, you didn't have to donate for Thanksgiving and Christmas feeding. Gave $5,000 away for the first prize winner and three $3,000 winners for second, third, and fourth prize. And the district got $7,000. So we raised over $15,000. So when I left it with over $5,000 in the bank. So we made a change, and then we was cry. Now every meeting upstairs and downstairs, everybody's out. Everybody's out because they see the change. They see what we're doing. This ain't a political engine. This ain't just about electing the next grand junior warden. It's about what we're going to do in our community, how we're going to service our community, how these people are going to know who we are. We first district strong. And they showed up and showed out.
So that's beautiful. So, I mean, a lesson learned again, it keeps reiterating. Have a vision, a compelling vision, build a team.
Build a team.
And then execute. Execute.
Yeah.
Sounds like consistently, like show up consistently. So that was huge.
Have the right attitude, man. Humility is another thing too, man. You know, a lot of these brothers get these titles and they don't know how to humble themselves. They don't know how to be humble about the honor that's bestowed upon you. You know, when you become president or worship master of your lodge or the right worship, you should be as humble as the next brother. You should be so humble that you don't look up. You know, it's an honor to get those titles. You know, to be in those positions. And
what does humility mean to you? Like, because we throw humility out a lot. Like, what does that look like to you?
Knowing that you can shake any and everybody's hand, no matter what color apron they wear. I don't care. That you are always on the level. Just because I own a house and drive a Beamer and you're riding a train and you live in the projects, you still my brother. I'm still gonna hug and embrace you. You know, I may have my master's degree from George Washington University, and you may just have a high school diploma, but you still gonna be my brother, and I'm still gonna hug you. Being humble, you know, not acting like you know everything, and also being able to say, you know what, I didn't know that. I don't know the answer to that, but let me find out, and I'll get back to you.
Love that, love it. Thank you.
Yeah, 1000%. I know you touched on a lot of people that have influenced you in the craft in general, but we do like to hear a few of the other names, especially that was mentors to you during the time in the East, and just your general time within Freemasonry. You get those names out.
Yeah, past Grandmaster George Brown. That's my guy. You know, E. Thomas Oliver, Antioch 66. You know, there's another one, you know, Dorian Glover, Dwayne Walker, you know, Adam Jones. Me and Adam Jones, man, we would argue the Constitution and statutes, man, until we both got sharp, man. We would call each other, pick something in the Constitution, man, and we would go at it with each other, man. We would go at it. That guy, man, he made me so tight, you know, made me as far as familiar with the Constitution and statutes. He's another guy, you know, that I look up to and I admire. But, you know, brothers like George Brown, you know, brothers like Walter E. Jackson from Cornerstone 37. That's another one, man. Big hearts, you know, just love the craft, you know. George Pierce, you know, George Pierce from my lodge, man. He wasn't, although we had a godfathers as past masters, you know, he was about if it's right or if it's wrong. And he didn't care if the past masters all say it's wrong and he felt it was right, he was like, I'm going this way. You know, I don't care what y'all say. And I always admired and respected that about him. And there's another brother, Charles Robinson Jr. He's the oldest senior past master at Joppa 55. He was raised in the year 1964. This year, he makes his 60th year. He served as worship master in 1986. And, you know, he just and to this day, he loves being a Joppa brother. And I don't know how he does it, why he does it, and how long, you know, how he does it for 60 years. But it's another one. And then but my last one I would say is past master Ronald Alexander is another good brother that, you know, was tough for me in the beginning, and what have you, but just a good brother. And he was one of my mentors as well.
Nice.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So we're coming up on our time a little bit here, but I definitely want to dive a little bit into how you show up as a leader now. We know you have the workshops you do for Worshipful Masters, which is I have not had a chance personally to experience those workshops, but yeah. Shame on me. Shame on me.
And man, I gotta add, that's on his own. That ain't like nobody had to prompt him to do that or anything like that. That's just him helping out the craft.
This the fire again. It's a
Yeah.
consistent theme of like being self-motivated to do what's right for the craft, and I love that. So curious about again, like how you show up now as a past master, your lodge, how you show up as a leader in the craft. Now that you are out of the Worshipful Master seat, would love to hear about like how do you show up now as a leader in Masonry.
Yeah, being present, my worship master is William A. Gardenhire of Joppa Lodge No. 55, and every worship master since I've gotten out the chair, starting in 2010, I have supported, making sure they know where the pitfalls at. I was always giving worship master training classes, but into to individuals, and anybody who wants it. There's a brother named Tony Matthews that was formerly at Dog 53. I work with him all the time. Gabriel Mitchell is one I mentor. Not in my lodge. He's another one, that I mentor. And these dudes, I would give them the business. I'll be going, what's this? And da da da. I know you don't know. Call me back. And I'll put pressure on them so they can they understand what they want. Just in being present. Like again, that to me, the most important thing is being present, being a phone call away. Now I may not be out like I used to be when I was an officer and I was worship master and so on and so forth. But I show up in the important things and I'm always there. I'm always one phone call away. Worship masters come up to my house and I help them put their trust boards together. I remind them of Constitution statutes, and I always refer to them, hey, listen, read Article 20 of the statutes, which is the powers
of the worship master. Yeah, that's the first thing you say.
Make sure you know that and you can understand that, and be honest with the brothers. It's okay to say, I don't know. And so being a mentor, being a dean, I'm still deaning, my study classes, still preparing the future. The Most Worshipful Grand Master just invited me or asked me to take on the Masonic education for this jurisdiction. Nice. So I'm gonna be working on some stuff on what brothers should know, that's been on my heart to say. I just got published in the Sentinel. I put an article in there on what a worship master should know.
Love it.
Something a document I created that I just thought it was just necessary. Just a little bit. Now, it ain't everything, but these are some things that the basic stuff before you become worship master. You should just know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that book called? The Worshipful Master's Handbook what's that?
Yeah, handbook.
What's it called? The Worshipful Master's Handbook? Yeah, that was interesting. That was a good read for me when I was senior warden to have that handy. I wish I would have joined some of your classes though, Pastor Master Davis, for sure.
And we had brothers from Eureka on there. It was some brothers from Eureka on my core. I remember Eureka 36 being on there. So there were some brothers. I can't remember recall their names off the top, but I always tracked the lodges along with the brothers, so I do remember Eureka 36. So we did reach up there. So
yeah. So the last question I have, and then I'll pass it over to Mark, is it's 2024, and you are a busy man in the craft and probably have a busy life outside. And if you've seen the episodes, this question, where this question goes to. Not saying that you have the interest or the desire or the time to do this, but if you were to go back into the lodge as Worshipful Master, he closes his eyes, go back into Joppa 55 one more time in 2025 as Worshipful Master for Joppa Lodge number 55. What would you focus on? What would be like one or two things that you would focus on as Worshipful Master this third time around?
Good question. I would focus on teaching brothers what it means to be a sponsor. Because sponsorship, people don't think about this, but sponsorship is one of the most important things for a healthy lodge. if you don't sponsor the right brothers coming into your lodge, you know, you can kill your lodge, right? If you sponsor the wrong brothers, you sponsor poison into your lodge, that poison will kill your lodge. So to me, the first thing is I will be teaching brothers what it is to be a sponsor. If you don't know A, you don't know B, you don't know C, and whatever, no D, although constitutionally you can sponsor somebody, you should. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Second thing, what I'll be focusing on investigations, how we investigate candidates. So I wrote an article. I wrote a 15 question questionnaire on certain questions to ask brothers, the candidates. Well, they're not really candidates yet, petitioners. Kind of peel back the onion to really get to the root. Because you know what, when you meet somebody, you meet their facade. Everybody gonna tell you what they want to hear. Oh yeah, man, I'm gonna be about today, and I'm in and this and whatever. But let's just ask certain questions, strategic questions, and get to the real person, who they really are. So I would focus on the two things I would focus on is sponsorship, making sure brothers understand what it is to be a sponsor, and an investigation, how we investigate candidates. And then teach the third thing would be teaching the brothers that if we've gone through the sponsorship process, we've gone through the investigation process, now the brothers are now candidates and they get their into the apprentice degree, and we see between them getting an EA degree and a Master Mason degree that we have the right to blackball them before they become Master Masons. And we need to activate that right. If these brothers are not showing, improving on who we think they should be based on the culture of our lodge, they need to be removed as a blot. Take them out, because you let one bad apple in, it will spoil the entire bunch. So
your whole focus is on like protecting that West Gate, really. I mean, that's like the mantra I'm hearing is protect the West Gate.
Exactly. Protect our organization. You know, err on the side of Freemasonry. If you investigate a brother and your feeling is that you would not have this brother sit at your table with your wife and your children, then he should not be sitting at the table as Joppa or as a brother in this organization. And I don't care if brother so-and-so that's been in this organization for 25 years sponsored him. It shouldn't be that. A brother should be getting into this organization in his own merit. And not only do I protect Joppa Lodge No. 55, but I protect Sons of Kings 123. I protect Eureka 36. Because once I bring him in and say he's a brother, you all have to accept him now. And if I bring the wrong person in, it can kill our whole thing we have. When I started here in 2000, we may have almost 6,000 brothers in this jurisdiction. What are we down to? Under 3,000 now?
Something around that. Something around 3,000.
Something like that, yeah. So sponsorship, investigation, and brothers understanding their right that they can blackball a brother if he is not doing what he's supposed to do to become a Master Mason the right way.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the next part to that is also, you know, when you're protecting, like you say, protecting other lodges, because that person could potentially come Worshipful Master, in which then he becomes a Grand Lodge officer, and then he definitely could affect the whole jurisdiction in that manner too.
And even smaller than that, this brother could come up to mid-year and be around our wives, sisters, daughters, mothers. Right? We have to protect our sisters. You know, we have to protect because when they come in, they expect that we are Master Mason. We are the good, we are the great. So they have a higher, respect for us. So we bring in the wrong people and they here just to get with our sisters and wives and mothers and sisters and daughters, and they violate them. How are we protecting our organization? How are we protecting our sisters? So that's another reason why we got to protect. Yeah, they can become Grand Lodge officers and so on and so forth, but the very bare minimum, man, they could be at a party.
Yeah.
They could be at your event.
Yeah.
And do something, So we got to be
much so.
Agreed.
100% factual. All right, Past Master Davis, we want I don't have any more questions. You good, right, Matt?
Yeah, yep.
All right. We thank you definitely for the time you have given us on this show. You have provided us with a few things to think about, of which one and the most important thing is family is important. Don't forget your family. And with that, learn how to measure and keep track of your 24-inch gauge, because you can't do anything with it. That's definitely one of the most important things that we have. You have to lead by example. If you want other brothers to follow you, you have to be that lead. You got to know how to build a team. in which coming with build a team is building relationships first. So you build your
Yes.
relationships, so you know how the brothers are, so you build your team when it's time to build a team, so you can accomplish your goals in the most best manner. Of course, we're not going to forget to run our laps.
That's
Leadership,
right.
attitude,
Leadership, attitude, performance, and
performance, and
service.
service.
Yes,
Never going to
sir.
forget that. And again, we want to thank you for those particular things, and we hope that everyone gets something from that.
Yes, and if it's okay, I want to give a quick
Yep.
shout out. My granddaughter, Chastity Davis, will be turning 11 years old tomorrow. So
All
shout
right.
out to my baby girl, Chastity Davis from her pop. I love you, baby. And you know, I can't wait to see you. Thank you,
Happy
guys.
birthday.
I appreciate you.
For sure. For
We
sure.
really dated this episode.
Yes.
I did.
So, like, yeah, I'm gonna say it in general because like 10 years from now we go back like, wow, how fast time goes.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
That was dope,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
That's
That was
good.
really,
That's
dope,
really.
good.
right?
That's good.
You know, I always think historically.
We all looking different, you know. I'm having more gray.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna look the same 10 years from now. I don't know about y'all. I might have to look the same 10 years from now. You know, God willing, God willing, God willing.
Right?
God willing.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
So, you know, Past Master Davis, definitely been a pleasure. Definitely remembering to run my laps. I'm definitely gonna keep that mantra. I like acronyms and those sort of things. So laps is huge. I like that. Leadership, attitude, performance, and service. Definitely gonna think about that for sure. Thank you for the gems that you dropped here. For those that are watching right now, listening right now, we know we've heard some jewels today. If you've heard anything that resonates with you, please continue to like, subscribe to the channel, share this episode with as many people as you can think of that will receive value from this. We do appreciate those the positive feedback, the positive energy, all the comments that you leave. We read them and we appreciate them. Keep them clean, keep them respectful. They have been, so we thank you for that as well. And as we always say, you know, the world needs leaders, and leadership begins with us. It's hard, almost impossible to lead anybody if you can't lead yourself. So please take the jewels and the information that we share on this podcast to benefit yourself, benefit your family. If you are in the craft, use it for your craft, for your lodge, for your chapter, or professionally. So with that, thank you again, Past Master Davis. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys too. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.